Hello and welcome to the Sweaty Dive podcast. I am one half of your co-hosts known as Buff Charmander, joined as always by my good pal KG.
Yo.
And this month, June 2023, we are starting off the blockbuster season by talking about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And with that said, let's jump right into it. My brother, I think that this is in the conversation for one of the best Western animated movies ever. In the conversation. I'm not saying it definitely is. That's really hard to say. I said Western because there's so much great anime out there and just great animation from other parts of the world that I can't really speak on because I haven't seen all of it. But in terms of North American animation, this has got to be up there, right? For me, at least, it is.
I would say it's the most, adventurous, and it takes, the most risks. Because, full transparency, I did not see the first Spider-Verse film in theaters. I didn't think it would be good.
Neither did I.
I didn't really care for the trailer. Once I saw the Sony symbol, this is, when Marvel was in their peak. I was like, I don't know what the deal is with this. I don't know if this is really geared towards, elementary and middle schoolers. I don't know if it's going to be, a half-baked idea. But boy, do I regret not seeing the first film in theaters, because it was a masterpiece. And the animation, I even told my my one sister who, she's an art teacher, I said, just go to the movie, not even for the concept, the story. You can literally block all that out. Just go for the pure imagery and the risk and detail in design and how creative they get in so many frames. And how they're not afraid to take risks. To some people it might look ugly, to some people it could be jarring, but I just tried to take it all in, and it was masterful to see all of the different kinds and styles at work all at one time.
I think in terms of animation, strictly in terms of animation, I think this might be it might be the best I've ever seen in terms of just strictly from an artistic standpoint. I have not been this wowed by something visually in a long time. In a really, really long time. And that's not to say that there isn't a lot of great work out there. It's just that this, with how many different art styles they managed to blend together and make cohesive, seeing the number one thing that people talk about with this movie coming out of it is Gwen Stacy's universe, Spider-Gwen's universe, and how that world feels visually alive. Seeing that style translate onto her when she's even not in her universe didn't feel out of place. Seeing Spider-Punk go black and white in some scenes, and in other scenes look like he's straight out of a newspaper with a little bit of color in it, it doesn't feel weird. It's just kind of oh no, we're in this. I'm here for the ride.
The Vulture, I was taken aback.
So good. I thought once I saw him, I went, oh, anything's on the table.
Yeah.
Because he what was he, a bronze color?
He was a Renaissance style vulture, so they went with that elder history crinkled brownish paper. It kind of looked like a bunch of paper maches put together in sequence, like a stop motion type of deal. But it was fascinating to see that mixed with that new wave pastel color of Gwen, and then Miles' colors on top of Miguel Rojas' colors. I just think it's really smart how, and I can't even imagine how challenging it was to keep everyone's universal colors and designs in sync as they continued to mix with each other, if that makes sense.
Dude, I don't know how, and you and I, I'm not going to call us artists. We are people who like to make art. We like to draw, all that stuff. Can you imagine what it was like animating the sequences with all the Spider-Man in it? The chase scenes?
That took 4+ years and countless animators.
Could you imagine being a person assigned to that gig? I would have lost my mind.
And there's just one segment of these 10 or 15 frames. The amount of stress that goes into that.
I think I've been really thinking a lot lately about how I don't even think it's most nowadays. I think there's been a pretty nice shift recently in terms of people taking animation really seriously. But I think that, you know how we separate, at the Oscars, Best Animated Picture and Best Motion Picture? I think in certain occasions, when it calls for it, I think we need to start saying when an animated picture is the best picture of the year. Just saying it like it is. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case with this movie. There's still a bunch of things to come. I'm still not sure if just me personally, I'm not sure if I like this movie better than Guardians 3. I love them both, but I think that in certain cases when you see something and you go, wait, hold on, this was something special. This is probably the best thing that came out of the theaters this year. I think we need to start just kind of being more respectful of that. I think we need to start paying people like they deserve to. Animators need to be respected. CGI artists need to be respected. They need to be honored even more so at these award shows, because God knows they're some of the hardest working people in the Hollywood industry, and probably the least celebrated. I just wanted to get that out there. And I'm sure you would agree on.
No, I'd agree wholeheartedly. I mean, this film is a testament that if you give artists and all craftspeople time and proper resources and support, they can make anything nearly perfect. And this is a...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is a really good example of, if you wait, people are still going to go. Like, the first one, I believe, came out in 2018. It's now 2023, and if I read it correctly, the numbers that this film did have already outdone the entirety of the first Spider-Verse.
After 1 week.
People are going to go. Like, people want to see good quality work. You don't need to rush it out in a year just to get that next buck, whatever, especially something this artistically risky and adventurous. You got to let it breathe. You got to give these people time. And when you do that, it pays dividends.
I 100% agree. I don't know, man. There's just so much to... It's weird because we're doing this a week after the movie came out. There's been so many podcasts, so many YouTube videos, TikToks, all these theories and all this stuff. And I haven't really listened to a lot of it.
I am totally in the dark. Just
because
keeping you
totally
in the dark.
Yeah. So, if any listeners out there listen to other stuff and it sounds like we're regurgitating the same stuff that other people are talking about, we aren't aware of what they're saying. So we're just going into this with our own thoughts. Staying in tune with the art, by the way, real quick disclaimer, we go full spoiler territory on this pod, so if you haven't watched the movie, do yourself a favor and go watch it. This is we could not recommend it more. Boom. All right, you're back. Do you have a favorite art style in this movie, like a favorite universe's look or a favorite character's design, anything like that? Anything stick out to you visually, or do you not have one? It's okay if you don't.
I got to be honest, I really just tried to take it all in. I was trying my best to see this again before we recorded, but life. I guess I can't say I have a favorite, but I can't say enough how much I appreciate the different styles all mixing together and how you can notice it, appreciate it, and when they battle and chase and do whatnot, it not only seamlessly blends, but it blends in a way that you are so captivated by what's going on. It doesn't matter that this is 2 hours and 20 minutes. It doesn't matter that at the end you realize this is to be continued, right? You just want more. You're not bored. It's not sluggish. There's not errors in what's going on. It is just eye-popping from beginning to end. Do you have a favorite?
Yes, but real quick, it's crazy that they keep up that level of visuals with a movie that is this briskly paced.
Honestly.
So my favorite world is Spider-Gwen's. The way that colors would bleed on the screen.
Yeah, like a watercolor effect of sorts.
Yeah, it's something that I never thought I would see in a 2.5 hour movie. It just isn't. That's the type of stuff that... It's so rare that you see real risk-taking in modern blockbusters. Like, would you agree with that? Like, it's so rare to see that nowadays.
This whole film to me, how the first one was approved, because again...
I don't know.
Seeing the trailer, I was like, this is just not... I honestly thought the first one, in the first trailer, I thought the art sucked.
Me too.
The trailer, personally, I was like, out on this. It looks like it's 2 seconds delayed. It looks choppy. And I'm so happy to be wrong. So happy to be wrong. But I have to appreciate the Sony execs here because they clearly saw something that we didn't.
I think, actually, this is... we've kind of... we had to have talked about this at some point in the pod's history. This kind of is a testament to why it's not ultimately a bad thing that Sony owned Spider-Man. It wasn't a bad thing that Fox owned Deadpool and the X-Men. Does it suck that we couldn't see Magneto and Tony Stark interact? Sure. Does it suck that we weren't able to see Spider-Man and Professor X interact? Yeah, to some degree. But because Sony owns this, we got this movie. This doesn't happen without separation within these studios. So ultimately, I think that spreading the wealth a little bit helps create innovation, and that's what this movie is. I think the first one, it's a known fact that one was kind of groundbreaking for animation. It changed some of the animation style going forward in modern movies. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem looks very, very inspired by the original Spider-Verse movie. I would even say to some degree, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which was my favorite animated movie of last year, which I thought was an excellent film, visually had similar vibes to the first Spider-Verse movie as well. And it's just so cool to see. Like, doesn't this feel like another comic book event movie?
To me, it did. I was very excited for this film. And now you got me hooked on Dolby. My wallet is pissed. But
I'm so pissed off I found it.
The problem now is that if I'm going to see a blockbuster, like I'm looking into no free ads here, like AMC Stubs memberships, just to see if it'll help me break even here. I'm trying to do the math. We're going to be going enough, and I'm going to take advantage of the Dolby. But seeing it with the proper sound and the proper imagery, allowing the colors to really pop, it's a whole different beast. I'll talk about the sound in a second, but the visuals.
Yes. I mean, the visuals were incredible. We've basically touched on it, and in terms of, I'll give him a quick favorite character design. I might say, I don't know if his name was the Indian Spider-Man. Yeah. His character design might be my favorites. Although, so fun fact, I always disliked Spider-Punk's design, like in video games and stuff. Mm-hmm. I found it a little too on the nose. Like, it was like, okay, he's got the spikes on his head, spike mohawk, whatever. But once he took the mask off, I felt like Miles, and I was like, oh, he's somehow cooler. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. And I had no history of Spider-Punk. I think their design of him, like that 80s underground English pop, was very cool.
So sick. And there's so many cool looking people in this. I love the way that Ben Reilly is animated and how he's like
Andy Samberg crushing it.
It's such a people got pissed at that. You know that portrayal.
You know what? They might look at Ben Reilly differently. I don't have a strong connection to him, but I like the self-loathing, introspective, over-the-top aspect. I liked it, but if other people didn't, I can't tell them,
I only have a very small aspect of knowledge about Ben Reilly due to cartoons and to...
That was the cloning saga, right?
Yes, yeah. And due to light, I'm talking like a dusting of comic book reading as a kid. Because the Spidey comics were the ones that I could get through as a child. And I was like, okay, I'll read these. I thought it was a fun way to kind of poke fun / pay homage to the very grungy and very emotional 90s vibe of superheroes. And with his big muscles and his poses.
He just keeps saying what he's doing. I thought that was hilarious.
First I'll land, then I'll look, then I'll pose, then I'll look again. He's not there. It was so good. I just thought it was awesome. Andy Samberg crushed it. And I'm so glad that he's going to be in the next movie. Like, he's like a key part now because he's with Miguel and
hopefully, and I have a feeling they'll do it because so far they're 2 for 2, they're going to give that character like redemption, or they're going to validate his being in the film to those that are diehard Ben Reilly fans.
Do you have a favorite? Maybe, because I don't even know if I do. Do you have a favorite new Spider-Person that we were introduced to in this movie?
There are so many. I really,
because I don't know if I do.
There's so many good ones. I thought that was so funny.
So good.
Let me guess, your uncle died? That had me cracking up. In terms of new Spider-Person, I was just trying to look out for all the different cameos. I like that they had the video game one. They had the Spectacular Spider-Man. I would say Spider-Punk's design was the coolest. That was the one I was the most attracted to, and visually what they were doing. It was probably between him and Spider-Man India. I believe that was his
I think title. That's what they called him. I could be, I'll look this up. You can keep going though.
Oh no, that was between those two. But my personal favorite Spider-Man in the entire film series so far, the first and second, leaps and bounds for me is Jake Johnson as the Tobey Maguire-esque Spider-Man. That's the best way I can describe him. I just think his character, his voice lends so much to that Peter, and you really feel he stole it from me in the first movie.
Can I just say it? He's the best movie Spider-Man ever.
It's like crazy how good he is.
He's the best movie. No, I'm sorry. The best movie Peter Parker ever. Ever. He's perfect.
It's like it's hard to put into words how captivating he is on screen. And I feel like it's just Jake Johnson being Jake Johnson. Like,
did you hear the way he was yelling in this movie?
Yes.
I feel like you make me a better person. It was so Jake Johnson. I was like, oh, that's him from New Girl.
And he's like reluctantly doing this because he knows he has to. And he's the perfect mentor to Miles. And he's going along with Miguel's plan, but he doesn't want to. He's like the mix of every Spider person I ever wanted to see. He's just a good guy.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, when
can't help but love him.
Yeah, you can't help it. He's the most.
And then you give him a kid, forget about it.
Oh, Mayday. So good.
Forget it.
So good. And I will say, I loved Spider-Punk's description of this Peter Parker. He called him humbling reality Spider-Man. Because that's what Spider-Man is. He's the humbling reality superhero.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, that's the prime one right there. That's peak Peter. So good. So good. Yeah, I think Spider-Punk is the coolest character in this movie. Just in terms of what when you pay attention to the movie, you see his plan is being laid throughout. Like when they're walking through the hallway, he's taking up the little pieces of equipment. It's because he's building that new the new traveling watch for Gwen. Like that's really cool stuff.
And what he does at the end, I mean, I don't know if you do this, but when I watch any movie, I have a terrible habit of trying to guess what's going to happen towards the end to just feel like I'm smarter than everyone. But I was so entranced by the visuals, I forgot that like he leaves, and then when he left for Gwen, and then you have the whole Miles turn at the end, I was like, oh damn, like he's in the wrong universe. This is good. This is done well. And so it's been done in other. Honestly, no. It's been done in other things, and I kind of feel silly not noticing it. But I was so just captivated by what was going on the screen, and I feel like maybe the directors were doing that on purpose. We just kill you with visuals. You pay attention, but you're so enthralled. You're not trying to overthink. You're just enjoying the moment. And then when you see the final twist, you're like, wow, that was good. And I thought it was pulled off really well. Like, really, really well. And Spider-Punk's involvement in it was awesome because it goes true to his character. He is against this formality of trying to follow whatever. He wants to let people do it how they want to do.
Do you think Spider-Gwen is a co-lead in this movie? Because she was, in my opinion. I think it felt like it for me.
Yeah, I wish I was able to hear a little more in the beginning, but freaking audio quality. Not everything can be perfect. I need to go see it again now with the enhanced audio there. And I hope all our listeners too. If you saw it one time without the enhanced audio, please go back, right? Enjoy it as it should be.
Well, because they re-released it, or not re-released it. They gave the theaters a new version, an updated version with better audio. Just so you know, it's really clever. Because the clips were circulating on social media. I'm really worried this movie's being pirated a lot, to be honest with you.
Oh, definitely. It's 2023, man.
Yeah, which is taking away a lot of money from this movie, but I don't know how you fight it at this point. So they make it seem, upon your first watch, they make it seem like she's talking about what happened in the last movie between her and Miles. But what she's actually talking about is what happens in this movie. She says, like, I tried to protect him. I tried to hide the truth from him. There's a scene of her holding him back from falling.
Ah,
so it's all flashbacks from the beginning of the movie, and it's like, whoa, okay, that would have been really cool to experience the first time if I could hear it.
Yeah, this film definitely felt a lot bigger, and I don't know for you, but while I loved the extra scenes with other people, we're going to talk about the part 1, part 2 thing a little bit towards the end here. I was just like a little annoyed that I was like, I just want more in a positive way. But you could feel that this had to be a 2-part thing because to me, they gave a lot of shine to other Spider people, which is awesome. But you could, at least for me, you really felt it. It was almost like segmented in a way.
Did you feel the 2.5 hours?
I only felt it towards the end. I had a personal issue that I was trying to solve while I wanted to see this movie, so I was in the back of my head. I was like, I gotta get done when I need to get done here. But towards the end, I was like, all right, at this point, because I saw right before I got in the theater, I was like, it is a part 2, and I forgot that they said this like 2 years ago, I think. This was no surprise.
The initial marketing was that it was Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
Yeah, so that's on me for not kind of remembering that. But towards the end, I was like, all right, they're going to do some like crazy thing and then end on a cliffhanger. So I didn't feel in terms of like, I want to get out of here, but I felt it in like, they have built a lot up, but we're not going to get a lot of payoff, which is not a bad thing, but sometimes it does annoy me because I just want more. I want that instant gratification. But I did feel it a little bit. Did you?
I started to feel it in the second act. When they were talking more so, like in the Spider-Man mansion or whatever, and then from the train sequence on, which by the way, you know I love me a Spider-Man train sequence.
Oh yeah.
From that onwards, I didn't feel it anymore, and I wanted more. Like I had realized where we were at in the movie, like time-wise, it was like, oh wait, this has been going on for a while, but this is such a weird. It's not a typical 3-act structure.
Yeah, because it ended different. Like, I thought that Spider Chase was going to be, like, the end.
Well, it feels like the climax of the movie because it is.
Yeah, and then you get, like,
you don't realize it, though.
You get, like, an extra 30.
Yeah.
Really?
But you don't realize that's the climax of the movie because it's like, well, no, he has to stop the spot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what kind of makes it really well done. I can't help but wonder, was this what it was like watching Empire Strikes Back? Like, do you think this is what that people felt like? Like, wait, what?
Well,
Han's Frozen?
I can only hearken it to when we saw Avengers Infinity War.
Oof.
When I had no clue. I forgot. I blanked. And when they all fade, I was like, they lost. Oh my God, they lost. Now, the difference is that film ends when they lose. Genius. But I think it was smart by the directors to give you a little more because it's basically, I would say, like a prologue for the next film. So maybe they're saving you some setup by giving you a lot of payoff in part 2, which I'm fine with because I'm very excited to see how they wrap this up. They left me personally hanging for more.
Do you like the fact that it was left in a very hard to be continued moment?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. This movie, I want it to take. It could take another 4 years. I'd be upset, but take your time. Like, there's no rush. You're telling a quality story with beautiful, phenomenal, exceptional art. There's no need to press that. You started it well. You stopped it well. I have a strong feeling they're going to end it well.
Especially because they've said that this is the last animated Miles movie. Take your time then.
And I'm fine with that. I feel like you're telling a complete story.
Yeah. We
don't need to mine this for 7 spinoffs here.
No, we can't go fast and furious with this joint. And I mean, we've gone so long without even really talking about either main character stories. Between Gwen and Miles' stories, even though they mirror each other in a lot of ways, which character? Because we didn't get much of Gwen last movie. This was more so learning about her. Which of their stories did you find more compelling? Or did you not find one more compelling than the other?
No, Miles' story got me good. The 2 times he talks to his mom, I got teary-eyed. Full transparency. I have to pull her up real quick. She was phenomenal as Miles' mother. Her name is, I believe, Luna Velez, if I'm correct. She's so endearing, and we talked off mic why I really love these Spider-Verse films, and it's because all the characters are 100% fully fleshed out to the nth degree. They all have detail upon detail in terms of lineage, their origin. One of my favorite things of Spider-Verse 1 is how each Spider-Person tells their origin. It doesn't get repetitive to me. It is never boring, and I am entranced by what they're saying, how it's portrayed, how they got to where they are. And I think it's genius to not just have cookie cutter carbon copies of Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3, whatever. I love that Miles has his parents. I love that it's his Uncle Aaron and not his Uncle Ben. I like his cultural differences between the other Spider people. But when he strikes me as the reason I hate the Amazing Spider-Man films, and I use hate strongly because I don't like them, and I'm spoiling something. I feel like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is a douche. I don't know how to describe it any other way. Almost like an attention-seeking douche. And Miles, to his credit, has had a lot of mentors and advice. But to be 15 and have this crazy secret, and all you want to do as a teenager is find one person to trust and tell them something, ergo, me to you. His mom and his dad are vitally important to them, and he's truly breaking their hearts in front of his... He sees the damage he's causing them, but he knows enough and he's mature enough to not tell them. And then he has his big conversation with Gwen, and when he finally gets to accomplish that goal, it's in the wrong universe. And he built up all that courage for nothing. I thought that was done so well. So well.
For me, it's so tough. I mean, yeah, Miles' stuff is so good. But when Gwen gets the second hug from her dad, because he's the one who initiates the hug at the beginning of the movie, and then she's the one who initiated at the end. I thought that was so good, and maybe it's because they've said that her world is animated to be like a mood ring. That's what the artists were describing it to. Haley Steinfeld.
You could definitely tell that in the second hug. It took me a second, but they changed colors like 4 times. Yeah.
So I felt the emotions double time, like visually and just kind of taking in what was happening. I just think they're both really done well. I think that they are like in the those two are now in like the, again, a little alluding to what's coming up later on in the pod. Those two are like in the S tier. If you were ranking Spider-Man movie protagonists, those two are like top notches at this point. 2 of the best ever. They're so good, and they share the screen. Like it's both of their stories. And this movie ends with Gwen's arc finishing, and then next movie we can get Miles's arc finishing, which I just think is really cool. And maybe it'll be Miles and Miguel's arc. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope Miguel gets some redemption here.
Yeah. It's not looking too good for my boy. my dog is down bad right now. Speaking of which, can we talk about a little antagonist action?
Yes, please.
Between the Spot and Miguel, who did you find to be the more villainous villain of this movie?
I would say the more villainous to me, like leaps and bounds, is Miguel.
Yeah. there's something about
your was so just all right. We're going
because there's something about telling a young person you don't belong here,
dude. You're the anomaly.
You're a mistake. That's some heinous S word, bruh. That's rough.
I'll say that's fucked.
I couldn't believe that they were doing it. I was like, wait, they're going this hard?
And not only does he say it, but he emphasizes it. He needs Miles to know that you're Spider-Man because you got another guy killed. You are the whole reason. And I didn't even think about that.
Me neither. Although, there's some stuff.
Oh, is there continuity error?
No. Not continuity error. I think Miguel's wrong.
Oh.
Is Miles an anomaly? Sure. But I don't know if you noticed this. When the Spot is telling Miles about what happened, and you see the spider, did you notice what the spider was doing?
I need a second here.
Oh, you don't know this? Oh,
no. What?
Breaking news to my co-host on Live on Mike. This is excellent.
My brain is rattled right now. Okay, so this is Spot. Is this before he absorbs the?
This is when he's fighting Miles and his dad.
Okay, and he talks about the whole bagel thing. All right, so paint me the scene here.
Oh, I wish I could find. I don't want to spend too much time looking for it and sending it to you because it's online.
Off mic.
When he tells him about the spider, the Spider was walking behind Miles Morales in Universe 42 while Miles was in class.
The Spider was
going to bite Miles Morales regardless.
Bad Miles. That's how.
Yes. Yeah. Prowler Miles. We don't know if he's bad. I'll get to that later.
So Prowler Miles. Oh, so either way, a Miles.
That's what I think.
I like that.
So I think that Spider had to bite a Miles Morales, regardless.
Interesting.
And it's not Miles' fault. It's the Spot's fault.
Wow.
That's my take. That's my take and my theory, at least.
I like that take. I'm intrigued to see if that pays off. It's that canon theory.
We'll see. By the way, I love... You said the word canon. I love that they call it canon events because of, like, what canon means in comic book culture and movie culture and all that stuff. I love that canon events are like... Well, no, that matters because that is what is going to carry the story forward. Like, I just thought that's such a clever way to do it.
It's such a comic booky film. It doesn't have to be down to earth. It can be as insane as it wants, and it works. I think the animation helps that a lot, but I love that they just buy into some of the stupidity and silliness of all of this.
Let's circle back to Miguel for a second. You and I mean, the whole world noticed the design change with Miguel, and at first I was just kind of like, that was just a good change, smart. He does seem like a different character now, though. He's nowhere near the same person he was.
Seems like a bigger dick.
Yeah. But then you listen to his backstory and it's like, oh, wait, no. The post-credit scene from Into the Spider-Verse was probably before he went to that other universe and it collapsed. This is probably who he just became because of that.
Yeah, he's a damaged guy.
Yeah, He's like Batman damaged. It's like you're kind of a bad person who's doing good things. That's kind of where we're at right now.
I'd say he's a little meaner than Batman. A little so far. I don't know if Batman's ever told a child he's an anomaly.
No, you're right.
He usually adopts him and then trains him to be a ninja.
Yeah, well, he's supportive of kids.
Too
Miguel,
supportive?
Yeah, a little enabling. Miguel is outright like ruining this kid's future. Love his design. Love his design. I used to not like Spider-Man 99's design. I used to not like it. I
think it's the art of it.
Yeah.
I feel like this looks better than in a video game. I've seen a lot of Spider-Man 2099, and there's some Spider-Man game that's about like multiple dimensions, but I feel like his design in that is ugly. I think how they drew him here, he's done very well.
He just looks cool.
Do you know what the Venom is that he injects himself with?
No. I'm assuming that's just how he has his powers.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I thought it was kind of like a Dr. Jekyll thing where if he doesn't take that, he completely snaps. But that'd be pretty cool if he needs that in order to have powers and abilities.
That's my assumption, and I assume how Miles has the Venom electric attacks. I assume Miguel bites people.
He was going to bite Vulture.
Really?
Like vampire-esque.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's a power.
I kind of don't even want to do my research because I don't want to be spoiled. I've done too much research on comic stuff before. Listeners, if you know, way to go you. But I do not, so I'll be going.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's talk about the Spot, who I used to know of as like this corny, whatever, silly little comic book
Never
villain.
knew of him.
And they turned him into one of the most terrifying comic book villains that I've ever seen.
They kind of James Gunned him.
Little bit, yeah.
Not as funny, but they took a D-list character and made him something.
Yeah, because by the end, when his voice is echoing and he himself has basically become a hole, it's not even that he has holes anymore, he just is one. I was legitimately like, oh no, he's going to kill Miles' dad. He will.
Yeah, and I don't know how you stop.
No idea. No idea whatsoever. So what are we gonna do? Unless maybe Miles' electricity power, to some degree.
That or like they might have to go inside of him to fight him. One of those like you got to go into the beast to fight the beast.
I think one of the spider people is going to die next movie though, and maybe it's like a sacrificial thing.
There's going to be stakes. There's going to be something. It's going to end on a heavy note.
Yeah. But I like the Spot. I want to see more of him. I thought that he kicked his own butt scene is so good. I just think that, I mean, they just executed everything on like such an insane level. It's like, it's almost infuriating how good it is. It's
and
like,
they balance two villains well.
Yes. Neither of them feels like feels less than, I would say.
I would say that, and they do a good job of like, Miguel is intense, but you understand his reasoning. And then once he takes it too far, I feel like the whole audience agrees he's got to stop. We have to all stop the Spot, but he needs to be nicer. We got to fix this guy. And then you have a nice little crescendo of who's more important to take care of now. It's very hard to balance multiple villains, as we'll talk about in a bit. But I think this movie does a good job of balancing those two off of one another.
Yeah. No, I would absolutely agree. And I'm trying to think, is there anything before we get into some topics here? Is there anything else you wanted to hit?
I think we covered a lot of it, man.
Yeah, because I mean, it's such like a big movie that it's hard to have many conversations about and drawn out conversations about so many things because so much happens.
It just came to me. My favorite Spider-Person verse is the Lego one.
Oh, dude,
I thought
so
that was
pissed.
hilarious.
What? I wanted more of it though.
I know.
Like, oh.
When he goes beep boop and he hits the watch and then he does it again and Miguel's like, "You're our best and brightest man." I thought that was hilarious. I really hope that they have Lego Spider people in the sequel.
Or we at least get a Lego Spider-Man movie. I'm down for that.
That was hilarious.
Was that our boy as J. Jonah Jameson again?
I believe so, yeah. I feel like that was supposed to be I think the Jake Johnson version is a strong homage to the Toby verse, but I feel like that could also be it because they have the real Jonah's voice. If I'm not wrong, that's the one everybody's talking about, the 14-year-old kid who directed it, that short scene.
Yes.
The kid's going places, man.
Before, and this will lead into our next topic here. Is J. Jonah Jameson the greatest comic book casting of all time in a movie?
Oh, he can't ever be played. He's so good they had to bring him back in different universes and iterations.
Yeah.
He's so good they left him out of one franchise.
Like, it's almost a little bit absurd. Did you hear about who they wanted to get for that franchise, by the way?
No.
Really?
Who?
Okay, so all right, J.K. Simmons is the iconic one. Apparently, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was to feature Ice Cube as J. Jonah Jameson. What? You don't like that? He's so angry.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, you're a hater.
Well, it would have been bad if you did that and then 21 Jump Street. Would have been the same character.
It would have been too much of the same. Okay. All right. Before we get out of here, is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I think we covered it all. I think it's dinner time.
Yeah. Sorry, I've kept you waiting a long time. I stink. I gotta go shower. My brother, you have recently had a project finally release.
Finally.
Where can the people find it?
Yes, the album is called Mine Again. Recently came out on Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp. If you use that, please look it up. Give it a listen. If you like it, or if you don't, give us a comment, please. Anything. But yeah, Mine Again.
Make sure to give it a review on any platform you can find it on. Share it with your friends if you like it, on your social media feeds, whatever. But engage with it on the streaming platforms. Let's help our guy out. He makes good work. His band is good. His band is great, actually. And I know the bassist and the lead singer. I'm a pretty cool guy.
Whoa.
Next month, we don't have anything planned for once, I don't think. Oh, wait.
There's a lot coming
Oppenheimer?
out.
Is that Oppenheimer month?
We got Oppenheimer, baby.
I'm gonna suggest we pencil that one in, not pen. Pencil that one in as the next month's podcast.
Penciled it is.
Because we haven't talked about a Nolan movie since Tenet.
What a watch.
Yeah, so this one might be the one to get us into the Nolan hype train once again. But yeah, that's going to do it for us on this month's edition of the Sweaty Dive Podcast. Thank you all very much for listening. I have been Buff Charmander, joined as always by KG.
Until next time.
Stay safe and stay sweaty, my friends.